Chapter 79 to 84. Einar's POV. Fu asterisk K. 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 I was cursing my luck that was bad for the first time in my life. I came near the tree where on the hill of Camlin where I used to come to relieve my stress. Sniff asterisk I can't believe that she would treat me like that after what I have done for her for so many years. I wiped my tears that were falling again after 10 years. I thought she would have a little consideration for my feelings, but she appeared to be just a heartless monster. Want her body? She had the least sex appeal among all the girls I have met. Did she seriously think that I was just after her body for so long? Okay, I admit that the ultimate goal of this kind of relationship was to taste the forbidden fruit, but to hell with it. I would have done the deed with any girl if I was so interested in sex. Even after so long, I had little hope that maybe she would show me some some kind of sincerity, but instead, she displayed such an ugly sight. I then shook my head and stood up. It was finally enough for me. Let's leave this place forever. And run away? I heard a familiar voice and instantly identified the person who just spoke from behind. I turned around and saw a beautiful woman with blue hair. Mother? I took some steps back as my heart was broken and didn't want to bear another breakdown by facing her. Era, so you do remember me, and the first thing you think is to run? She smiled, but I was able to see a sense of disappointment on her face. Who is going to run? You. I shook my head and sat on the grass with both hands on my face. I am tired, Mother. I was so disappointed in myself that I didn't even dare to look into her eyes. She sighed and sat beside me and rubbed my hair. Mother knows very well, sweetie, but do you think running away will solve every problem? You're another teacher. Who was she again? Ah, Miss Scratch, dash. It's Scathack, and you just did that on purpose, didn't you? Whatever she is, what would she think that you just ran away instead of facing problems, huh? I knew very well what I owe her and even prepared a gift for her, but she would by no means accept my gift. Even though death was her biggest desire, she hates cowards more than anything, and if she got even a gist of my cowardice, she would never forgive me. Then tell me, Mother, what should I do? I tried to be positive in every possible way, yet this is what I deserve? Do you think a person like me can forget for what she has done? She stared at me briefly before narrowing her eyes. Einar, it is indeed unforgivable for what she has done, but let us face the facts. Who was the one leaving first without any kind of explanation? Who was the one arguing the king for his decisions and forcing your values? Okay, stop, I get it. Einar, you think you are the only one who has played fairly, but did you forget who taught you sword skills and riding a horse? Don't you remember she was with you the whole time too? When she told me that, I remembered those days. It was indeed true that Arthurian also had done so much for me, and to be honest, if not for my cheat called Book of Chastiefol, the only skill I had was my cooking efficiency and knowledge from my past life. On the other hand, Arthurian learned everything from her sheer hard work and iron will. I remembered she used to practice sword all day long and then take lessons from Merlin at night. I didn't question her forcing way up by considering her diligence, since I was resistant to sleep too, but that poor girl only had 1 to 2 hours to sleep at most. Another part one noticed that how the hell Vivian knows all of this. Was she stalking at me all this time? I then made my mind to use some evade magic to avoid her detection from then on. Einar, I know what you are going through isn't easy to accept, but you have to understand, Einar, lives of people like Arthurian, Morgan Le Fay, or any other person connected to legend. What do you mean, Mother? Let me ask you like this, why do you think that girl was able to pull Excalibur's full power, but not you, even if have better and more mana than her? Isn't it because she was worthy of that sword? Incorrect. King Arthur is the one worthy, not her. I looked at her with confusion. Let me ask again, why do you think that Vortigern and Uther were following the script even after knowing what lies ahead was nothing but death? I then recalled this question again after so long. I always felt weird. What the hell is the thing that was stopping Uther and Vortigern from taking an independent action? It seems you do realize something weird, right? Now then I will ask a final question, why did stop from drawing Caliban? When she asked this question, my heart came near my throat. Wasn't Arthurian supposed to be the one drawing the sword, right? Wasn't Arthurian supposed to be the one drawing the sword, right? Is that what you are thinking? Okay, I lose, Mother. Tell me everything. Because I am the one who gave you the chance to become a king and write a new history. But after seeing what stars were indicating, I was also the one who instructed Merlin to hold marriage between King Arthur and Guinevere. I widened my eyes. I can't believe that I was blaming the wrong people all along. Yup, but do you know why I did this? It is because you were weak and would have killed the moment legend went in the wrong direction? Legend? Weak? Yes, if you had drawn that sword, you would have killed by the will of the world called Alea. But since you didn't pull, the legend went correctly and King Arthur was born. And thanks to your luck, you left the capital at right time, or else she would never even consider marrying anyone and have revealed her gender, changing the history and called for a death scythe to your neck. I think I get it, but what exactly is the reason behind this entire act? Einar, people that appeared in the legends are just like puppets and stepping stones for the modern-day future where you came from. I was shocked when she told me that. Einar, you have to understand that you are just an unwanted presence in this world from somewhere outside. If you had messed before, you would have killed a long time ago. She then stated the same reason Elaine used to say. I have made a grand spell unknown to everyone to fight against Alea that was at its completion. And what Elaine said appeared right. If not for my luck, I would have triggered Alea and create a reason for it to act. But I was now strong enough to face her. I didn't have any reason to fear. I don't care about the future if I have to save my ass, do I? But what should I do with her? I was still reluctant to face her again. I was also ashamed that even after knowing my mistakes, I raised my hand to her. I forgot what kind of responsibility was hanging on her shoulders the moment she was born. Unlike me, she was born for one purpose and I never truly hold her hand to take responsibility myself. All I did was watch from the sidelines while pushing her forward. My heart started to throb again for her. Ah. Suddenly I moaned in the middle of my thought. When trying to identify the sudden rise of my spear hero, I saw Vivian's hand inside my pants and jerking my dragon. It seems like this is the real reason for your depression? Wow, your dick's height is better than yours. Let mother help you to relieve some stress, she said while rubbing my dick. I then felt some kind of energy gathering at a single point and that was my dick. I immediately shook her hand away and jumped backward. Then I cast some spells to calm my dragon. What the hell, mother? What kind of mother jerks their own son's junk? Why else? Don't you know that masturbate could help you relieve some stress? I made a stiff face. Masturbate? It was only for losers. And besides, I had way more pride to waste my sperms in someone unworthy or wash it in the toilet. Speaking of jerking off, I then realized that I had become a half-saint for being a virgin if you add 33 years of this life with my previous 17 years. Einar, go and talk with her. And this time, talk properly and live the life that you want. Don't ever forget your vow to never running away. Vivian stood up and ordered like a true mother. I smiled and gave her a deep hug and a quick kiss on the cheek before running away back. Vivian's words opened my eyes and I won't make another mistake. Vivian's POV. Shit, I should have forced him to bang me now. Which 17 years old looking boy has 9 inches long dick? I could only wave my hand at the departing figure of my son. Finally, the time has come for him to face the biggest challenge of his life. At this moment, I was not able to see his future anymore. Either he would be dead or this world was going to be destroyed. Either way, I can't do anything except pray for him and make a harem so that I could taste him a little. Like mother, like son, way troublesome. Yar days. Tilting my non-existent cap, I returned to my home. Einar's POV. Arturia was sitting on the floor near her bed while her back facing the window illuminating bright moonlight when she saw a shadow of a person standing behind her. Einar, please leave this capital. Please leave. Arturia spoke and clenched her fists. Arturia, say this to my eyes and I will leave this land forever. I promise I will never appear in front of you ever again, I said while looking at her small figure hiding behind the bed. She remained silent until drip asterisk. From my shadow, she saw something dripping from my left hand. Einar. She turned around and looked at my bleeding hand with her red teary eyes. She turned up and looked at me again with her mouth open. Arturia, look at my eyes and tell me to leave. I will forget about you even if I have to tear my heart apart. I smiled and said. She came near me and lifted my right hand and started applying small healing magic. Don't do it, Arturia. Let me feel a little pain. After all, it was this hand that I lifted to the women I swore to love and protect. I went astray for a moment even after knowing well that I can't stop myself from loving you even after now. As if a huge burden was taken away from her heart, her eyes burst into tears as she hugged me tightly. I am sorry. I am sorry, Einar. I smiled and hugged her in return while caressing her back. I am sorry too, Arturia. I was also at fault to always boast about myself and never helping you truly. I forgot my statement to never leave your side. Einar, please don't leave me. I love you so much from the day you confessed to me. Please forgive me and don't leave my side. Just let me be a little selfish for once. She didn't listen but just cried and pleaded for my forgiveness for a while. I also let some tears flow and also confessed my mistakes. Even though I was strong and best at everything, but, in the end, I was a human at heart. After we shed our grievances, I was sitting in bed while she was bandaging my left hand. It is already healed. I know, but let me do this for you. She smiled and continued to dress my hand. It has been 10 years since I sat on a bed. Just when I said that, she looked at me with wide eyes before a bright smile appeared on her face. Einar. Even though I hated you but still loved you as a girl. I am a stubborn one, ain't I? We stared at each other before covering the distances between our faces and closing the lips together. She then jumped on my laps, wrapping her lips around me like a koala while I also pushed her head with one hand while the other was roaming her body. Almost 10 years that we missed each other's taste and were so hungry that we just want to suck each other dry. We then continued to smooch for the whole 10 minutes, and while doing so, we removed each other's clothes and get completely naked. Huff asterisk huff asterisk. Our breaths were heaving from intense kissing and eating each other's essences after the whole 10 years. I then pushed her on the bed while I climbed on her. Arturia, today I will eat you. Every inch of your body now belongs to me, Arturia Pendragon. Yes. Einar, make me forever yours. Just as she nodded with a green signal, I grabbed her ample melons and began massaging them. She moaned loudly as my massaging skill was also ranked A. Since I didn't have any more use to experience points, I pour most of these points to upgrade my overall skills. It also included all the skills related to banging a woman. While my hand was fondling her breast, I was licking her from eating to her overall body. When I reached her breast, I emptied my lungs before sucking the shit out of that one melon. Einar, she moaned loudly and wrapped her arms, pushing my face further on her boobs to stop me, but I had greater strength as I continued to lick her breast. I then looked in her eyes, then her nether region, then her eyes again, and smirked. Please, be gentle. She smiled helplessly. I then showed my first, then raised my 2 fingers of victory sign. Aura, I smirked as my fingers penetrated her cave. And her whole body jolted with a current as she tightened her grips. If there was an ordinary person, he would have been crushed by her strength, but I am a different case. I then take my face between her legs and saw her nether region for the first time. Since she didn't age or grow, her public hair was still little and her pinky cheeks were also cute. Welp, itadikamasu. I clapped my fingers and inserted my tongue in her ample cave. Wait, Einar. It is dirty. I didn't listen to a thing she said and continued to eat her peach blissfully. Eating pussy is my favorite part of sex films, as you can taste thighs and butts too. I am a god with a body that will never attract any disease, plus, we both were extraordinary beings, so germs and bacteria were unknown existence for us. Plus, I always wanted to taste her butt. Einar, get away, something is coming out. I think I am going to pee. She tried to move my head away, but even her body refused her as she was wrapping her legs around my head tightly. Then the cave burst open and glittering water splashed in the sky. Arturia, it is the liquid that girls release in case of intense pleasure, and it's quite good and greasy too. Yummy. Wipe your mouth. I don't want to eat my own liquid. She ordered me even after completely drenched out of energy. It was then I showed her my dragon, and holy shit, it was long as hell. I mean, considering I looked like a 17-year-old teen, my dick was opposite, standing 9.5 inches high and an inch thick like an African man. Vivian was right, my dick grew more than me. Gulp. Both of us gulped a mouthful of saliva and looked at each other with worry. It was like a strong man in his prime is about to fight a 10-year-old girl. Einar, is that thing gonna fit in? I don't know. We looked at each other before burst into a chuckle. Arturia then smiled and take out Avalon from her body. I want to feel the pain. From now on, I will not live as a man, but as your woman. Very well then, make sure to wield Rongaminiat from now on. I said that because she was way shorter for her height and needed a little more growth. I smiled and then. Third person's POV. On the hill of Camlin was standing a teen with a height of 17 years old teen staring at the person standing at the edge of Great Camelot walls. Artoria, I will destroy these walls and claim you. Einar, it is not that easy. Bring the challenge. Einar and Artoria both exchanged final comments before preparing for their battle. Einar summoned Great Chastiefol spear in half-spirit form and began spinning at an insane speed. Artoria also started to strengthen the great walls. Einar smirked one final time before shooting the spear towards the walls. Chastiefol. Artoria also opened her eyes as the emerald spikes appeared around her while great walls erupted in beaming light. Round of Avalon. Boom asterisk. The great spear clashed with the walls like a drill and started breaking it apart. KHH. Artoria tried to hold off, but then she saw a sudden pleasure in that defeat and welcomed his spear to let it break apart her walls, engulfing herself in heavenly light. Einar's POV. Both of us were lying on the bed with her head on my chest. We spared 6 times before deciding to take a break. I couldn't believe in my little brother that lasted like an H protagonist and was still active, but I held myself back since her body was that of a 15-year-old girl and unfit to bear children. I also didn't forget to preserve the part of the sheet where she lost her first time. I told her what Vivian said to me before making up with her and also about Scat-Hack, the reason I left the capital. Do you also like that woman? She asked, looking into my eyes. She must have sensed my little affection for Scat-Hatch. After all, we were aware of each other's feelings well after we became closer. You know. Well, it doesn't matter. She is my teacher, but also someone that I hold the greatest respect. She is also the woman who made me see a path for our salvation, but you shouldn't talk about another woman. I said and shrugged my shoulders while also caressing her melons gently. I remembered that I also slapped Mordred and didn't have time to apologize, but I let that matter deal in the future. For the time being, in my heart, only she mattered. Einar, my most beloved and respected Einar, don't regret anymore. I know it doesn't feel right coming from me, who is allowing her man to go for another woman, but please don't regret it anymore. I can't see you suffer any longer and do where your heart takes you. I was wrong when I said that to Sir Lancelot, but you are someone I hold greatest respect and pride. I will always believe in your action, and unlike before, if you make a mistake, I will be with you to correct it. I stared at her for the moment before kissing her lips. Artoria, I know you cared for me and don't want to make me sad, but remember that I will always love you. We should live for ourselves from now on. I smiled, then sat up and took out a diamond ring. Artoria, I made this right when I was training under Vivian. I prepared this for a girl that I love most and to whom I will marry. Artoria widened her eyes, and then she also took out a ring from a drawer. Einar, I also made a ring when I was about to propose to you for marriage after the conquest of Camelot. It is the only artifact that I made myself. I smiled, then asked, Artoria, will you become my wife? Yes, of course, I will. From now on, I am your wife who will only live for our future. Thank you for loving this ungrateful person and giving me a chance. I love you, Einar. I love you too, Artoria. We then exchanged rings and took an oath to protect each other forever. After that, we kissed each other and decided to go for another round. Artoria's POV. Yawn asterisk. I opened my eyes and took a breath of relaxation. My every bit of stress flew away like a free bird. My stressful moments were gone in a single night after he took my first time. I was feeling refreshed and appeared like the strings that were controlling me were cut. My heart was light as a feather and my mind was brazen. I gently caressed my belly where I received his seeds, but it was a shame that I couldn't carry his children for the moment because of my physique. Where is Einar? When I looked around, I didn't find him. My heart started to beat faster and I became anxious when I find a letter. Artoria, what I said is a lie. I just wanted to taste your body and then leave you to make you despair. Did you really think I would trust a bitch like you? Haha, rejoice as you will never find me. Go to hell and die. I immediately tear up the letter when I read that nonsense. I didn't even take a second to find out that someone was plotting against him. Even though the tone matched Einar's verbal tongue, it was not even close to Einar's handwriting where he pours deep feeling in the context. I put my armor on and was about to take Avalon before my sight fell on the lance Rongaminiad. I then recalled what Einar said and then decided to use the lance instead of Avalon from now on to grow for him. I have to see for Merlin. Einar, please be safe. Taking the spear, I went out of my room in the hope to meet him soon. Einar's POV. I was scratching my balls standing completely naked while trying to understand if I was dreaming. Where the hell am I? It was a completely different place. Mordred's POV. I was in my room as I became used to keep distance from other knights. A month had been passed since Teach left the capital. No one knows the real problem except for me. I was the one who had witnessed the confrontation between King Arthur and my Teach, yet not a single word could come out from my mouth. Whose side should I stand for? King Arthur was so perfect, an ideal king whom I never dared to betray, or Teach, who hated me for some unknown reasons I was unaware of. But the irony was King Arthur, who I saw clearly pointing his sword at my Teach, was also searching for Teach. I knew that I had a small time left to live, but in that time as a homunculus, I just wanted Teach to recognize me and show me the smile for the final moment, and yet. What am I gonna do? I shook my head, but I didn't want to cry. Teach taught me to face everything with a calm mind, yet whenever I think about that day, my mind got filled with hatred and vengeance for both King Arthur and Teach. Mordred. I snapped out of my dark thoughts when I heard an unfamiliar yet ugly voice. Mother? She was Morgan Le Fay, also a half-fairy, but unlike Teach, you just want to puke before even standing beside her. She emerges from a shadow and stood in front of me. For how long do you intend to keep playing knight? I ignored her for that time too. If not for me sharing the same blood, I would have chopped her into pieces. Teach spared her life even after knowing how much hatred she bores for King Arthur, so I also just did the same, and that was to ignore her. You are the heir of King Arthur. When she said that, I widened my eyes. What did you say? Yes, your life is also proof of his existence. You are the child of the king. I forgot to breathe for a moment when Mother revealed that news. I was the son of King? So that's why Teach didn't kill me? Does Teach know about this? Lord Einar. Lord Einar. I don't know, but, KHH. It's not the time to think about him. Go and take the throne. Mother hesitated for a moment when she talked about Teach. He was the only person that she still respected, but I didn't know the actual reason. However, within the next second, I forgot all about other matters as unwanted expectations filled my mind where I will become a king, and then Teach will recognize my worth. Just wait, Teach, I will become a better king and then show you that I am more worthy of his trust. Galahad's POV. Walking in the corridor, I knocked on a door, and after receiving the permission, I entered. There I saw King Arthur handling some paperwork alone in the study. However, the bizarre thing was that King Arthur was not even hiding the fact that she was a girl. She was not wearing her chest plate, so I could see her little bit of cleavage. Plus she was not releasing the vibe of a man or king, but a charming and beautiful woman. I also noticed that she had grown a little, just barely, yet noticeable for me, who is sensitive to heights. Sir Galahad, are you done staring at my chest? When I heard a cold voice, my sight immediately fell on King Arthur's extremely cold monstrous eyes, and first time in my life I saw King Arthur this fearsome. My king, you are a girl? I asked with a trembling voice. Yes, I am a girl and also a wife of someone very precious, so if you or any knight stares at my body, I will chop everyone's eyes, got that? Aye. My body automatically saluted. I had no idea what happened to her since I was away from the capital, but I had never witnessed King Arthur being so cold. The past month, I heard that king had become a totally different person. She had slain some nobles and corrupt officials in one night, and now everyone has been fearing the king from that time. Your husband? Forgive my impudence, but is it my uncle Einar? I asked. Yes, Einar Sirius Dulac is my husband. We have taken the oath and also took each other's first time. She said and showed me the charming ring on her hand. From the looks of it, I immediately recognized the ring since Uncle Einar often used to show me that when he talked about marrying his waifu. I suddenly felt a kind of betrayal, then I immediately recalled a story that Uncle Einar used to tell me where a knight and king fell in love with the same girl who was a fairy, but in the end, the knight loses, and the king won the affection since the knight was a girl. It kinda matches the situation I was in, but the genders here are opposite. Uncle Einar was right, the genders of people in legends are all fucked up. Now call him Uncle Einar or Sir Einar only. I won't forgive you if you add the word my for him, because you seemed a little interested in him, but he is not interested in men. Aye. Another warning came from the king and another salute came from me. I don't have any idea if Uncle Einar's essence affecting her in some way around, since she had become quite possessive and cold when it comes to Uncle Einar. So can I ask why Sir Galahad came here? She asked and offered me a seat. I sat and then took out a golden chalice and put it on the table. Sir Galahad, this is. She immediately recognized the artifact. King Arthur, I want to talk with the person who would do anything for Uncle Einar, I said with seriousness on my face. You are talking to the right person, and call me Artoria Pendragon for the moment. Then, Miss Artoria, can you? Mordred's POV. You won't recognize me as your son? In the range of my question was none other than King Arthur. After I told him my real identity, King Arthur refused to accept me as his son. You won't recognize me? Is that your answer, King of the Knights? My rage filled my rationality and my heart sank further in despair, first Teach and now him. King Arthur, no, Arthur didn't even look back and walked away without any bother. Sir Einar, why did you raise your sword against him? When I asked this question, he stopped. None of your concern. She turned, looked at me coldly, and then left. Why? Why is this happening? I was just happy to be in your shadow. Yet you never turned around to face me. My eyes were filled with anger. First Teach then you. I guess Teach was right. I am filth. A son born between two siblings, and not even a complete human. Tears of sadness wet my eyes. Mordred. Get lost, you bitch. I said coldly to the woman who was my mother. You once asked me who Artoria is, correct? When I heard that, I turned around and saw a mother holding a red sword similar to what I was using. Just like you, who is a girl but pretended to be a man, the king is also a woman, Mordred. I widened my eyes. That's right, her name is Artoria Pendragon, who betrayed your beloved Teach by marrying Guinevere, and I don't need to say who is responsible for his disappearance. It can't be. I was serving the person I made my mind to kill. It was unacceptable for me. She was the reason Teach became so cold with me, she was the reason that he never showed me his smile or even talked with me, and she was the reason Teach called me filth. Yes, Mordred. Take the sword, Clarent, and break the king. All for Lord Einar. She gave me the red sword, releasing some kind of dark miasma. No, Teach won't like if I betray king. No. Stop. Those were the words of my inner soul that wanted to stop me, but my body and mind already seemed to be possessed by something. Even in my anger, Teach taught me to take decisions calmly, so I was still reluctant to betray the king. Lord Einar will be happy you took revenge on his behalf. Yes. Arthur, or Artoria, I don't care, but your doom is coming. At that moment, my last bit of conscience left my body. Einar's POV. For 5 minutes, I was still wondering where the hell I was. I just got up from bed to take a leak and reassume my sex night again, but I found myself in a different place. The sky was radiating with mixed color, and it was safe to assume that it was not the natural sky. The land appeared to be some kind of ruins of ancient civilization, since the buildings were made completely of stones. Except for the small amount of manna in the air, everything was fine. Am I dreaming? For the moment, I was confused and was sorting out my situation. No, impossible. I would have dreamed of Artoria having big boobs or nestling my head between Skathaka's thighs than seeing these ruins. I know myself well, so it was hard to assume that something was going on that I was not sure of. Elaine, can you hear me? I asked the spirit of the book since it was the only thing that was with me, but I received a broken message. E-I-T-E is S in T dim. Elaine? I yelled and called her, but did not receive a clear message, but I got the hint that she was warning me. I was also not able to access Mini Avalon in my reality. In the middle of my thoughts, I just tilted my head instinctively when an arrow shot on the stone in front of me. Who is there? I then put some defensive buffs on myself to find out the culprit and found a person holding a bow and arrow. Shing asterisk shing asterisk. He shot 2 more arrows, but easily deflected them with my spear. When looked closely, I immediately recognized the person shooting at me. Well, it isn't the wannabe B Control-C plus Control-V hero? I smiled and called him. He then jumped from the roof of a house and walked near me before stopping few meters away. A tall handsome figure, wearing a tight red and black colored top and black pants, and his head was covered with a hood. However, I could see his tanned skin and his silver hair on the back of his neck. Amiya, is it? I smirked. How do you know me? He asked with a hard voice and removed his hood. Tan skin and silver hair standing back, my memory didn't take even a second to sort out the identity of this person. Shiro Amiya, or simply Emiya, the wannabe hero. I know more than you, Mr. Hero. So are you here to fight for the waifu? Because the joke's on you, I have already slept with her, and she loves my dick, so how about you scram? I narrowed my eyes. Waifu? The hell you are talking about? I am here to stop you from committing evil and destroying the world. The hell? Since when having sex with gendered bend King Arthur considered evil? If you are talking about having a long dick to sex with 15 years old looking girl, then I guess you can call the police. I said and pointed at my bare hanging beautiful and magnificent dick, a dragon with 5.5 inches in length even in his slumber. I will talk, but can you wear some clothes first? I hope Mr. Einar doesn't mind fighting with dignity. Come on, you are just jealous of my little brother, but it is true, I would like to chop your neck and then stand on your head, just give me a second. I said and then went behind a wall to choose suitable clothing for combat. Third person's POV. A girl was watching the two men from some distance. The counter guardian number 764 won't last long. Little time needed to take it out. Alea said and then vanished. Einar's POV. I came out wearing a black jacket and pants not too loose and not too tight to fight easily. My hair was also placed flat on my forehead and I looked like Bully Maguire. I smiled, raised my spear in the air that clashed with two swords on Amiya's hand. So you have a sense of pride but not too much to give the enemy too much time. I said and swung my spear with enough force to send him few meters away. You are correct, I don't think it would be wise to give you time to prepare, assuming your strength. He stood up and said. Now less talk and more bitchin'. I smirked and disappeared. Third person's POV. Einar disappeared before reappearing in front of Amiya, and a clash between two swords and a spear echoed in the wasteland. KHH. Amiya gritted his teeth before pushing Einar away and created some distance. But Einar didn't give him any chance as he leaped forwards and swung his spear, breaking Amiya's twin swords into pieces. Amiya then dodged other strikes before slipping backward and taking some more distance. Your style kinda reminds me of a hero with a crimson spear, Amiya spoke and materialized another pair of swords, but this time he made them much sturdier than before. Because we have the same master, Einar said and leaped forward. Both of them engaged in close combat, with each of their swings destroying the land near them. In the start, it seemed to be a fair duel until Amiya began to lose the edge in the close combat. KHH. After another cut in the fingers and his ribs, Amiya jumped in the air and shot a sword that exploded after contracting Einar. A big ball of flame engulfed Einar while Amiya leaped backward. What, you wanna cry? Einar came out from the fire giant just fine and smiled at Amiya. I was correct to assume that you are indeed trained by a hero creator, Amiya said and created projections of swords around him with their aim at Einar. Fight me a little and I will also remind you of a Goldie hero with treasure fetish. Einar smirked and changed his spear into many small kunai. As if sensing the time of combat, both of them released these projectiles that clashed. However, Einar's small kunai didn't seem to be any less sturdy than the blades that Amiya created and easily destroyed swords. What the? Amiya then made more than 15 different swords and shot them too, but Einar easily cut all his swords in midair. What the hell are you? Amiya gritted his teeth. He was assigned to eliminate a person who was dangerous to his world. Although he accepted the assignment from Alea without any question, he never expected the person in question would be that strong, who was not even fighting properly. Hey man, I know you are pathetic and a freaking simp with hero fetishes, but don't lose morale just yet. I am not even using 10% of my total strength. Einar smiled. Are you mocking me? Yeah, why wouldn't I, since you came here and pulled me when I was in the middle of making out with my wife? I am counter guardian of humanity, and I have no qualms on anything other than my assignment to eliminate you. In short, you are Alea's bitch. I have no regards in arguing with you, but tell me one thing, what makes you be a threat to humanity that I was summoned with my complete strength? Threat to humanity? I have no idea that I am this harmful. Then tell me your real identity. Why such a strong person is never appeared in proper human history? You use Dulac as the last name, but I have never heard the Lady of the Lake fostering second child other than Lancelot. Einar looked at him Amiya dryly, then shook his head. We both know your inquiry means of shit for both me and Alea. Einar then smirked as his appearance began to change. A right wing on his back and a half-crown began to manifest. His outfit also changed, and silver attire with exquisite fabric befitting for a noble. It was his half-spirit form. What? Amiya was shocked, not only because of the change of appearance, but also the combustion of dense mana that Einar released upon taking that form. It was already hard to even put a good show for Einar, and now in this form, it was next to impossible to even think about beating Einar in close combat. Amiya didn't know if Einar was as strong as or even stronger than the certain king of heroes, but even if, Einar didn't seem like a cocky man with high pride that he would lose his guard in battle. Even if there was a smile on his face, Amiya knew that Einar was controlling the flow of the battle. "Hey, don't give up," Einar spoke when he saw the shock on Amiya's face. "How about this? I will give you 5 whole minutes, so use that boner of my sword thing. It's unlimited blade works. And I even lost the will to use it after what you called it." Amiya shook his head. "It's not my fault that it sounds too cringe. Just hurry up, my dragon is dying to eat my wife." Amiya closed his eyes and sighed. With a nod, he raised his arm and began his chant. "I am the bone of my sword." "Oh, yeah? Come on, you can do it. Steel is my body and fire is my blood." Einar took out his popcorns. "I have created over 1,000 blades." Einar was reading JoJo while eating popcorns. Unknown to death. Einar completed the first volume and on to the second one. Nor known to life. Damn, Shisho's thighs have no match. Einar was sorting Skathaka's photos. Have withstood pain to create many weapons. Einar was taking a dump and reading the newspaper. Yet, those hands will never hold anything. Einar finally stood and started stretching his muscles. So as I pray, unlimited blade works. From below Amiya's feet, a new reality emerged until it covered entire ruins into a different reality. Gears were moving in the dark sky while numerous blades were nailed on the dirt of this alternate reality. Dear Lord, finally. Einar took a deep breath and thought that it was a bad idea to let Amiya use that chant. Amiya opened his eyes and then materialized 15 swords around Einar. "You are a worthy opponent who is unparalleled even in this situation and would have loved to talk some more about what you know, but let's see how can you face this." Amiya smirked and clenched his fist. Swing asterisk swing asterisk swing asterisk. What the hell? Amiya was shocked as not a single sword was able to even scratch Einar, let alone harm, and passed him few millimeters away. Einar didn't even move to avoid them. Ever heard of luck so good that could even bend 1% of success in my favor? Einar sat standing in the middle of the garden of swords. He then started to move slowly. Amiya gritted his teeth and made hundreds of swords and shot all of them towards Einar. This time, however, Einar used increase, and by using long golden daggers, he deflected all of them while moving forward. Amiya then materialized 2 swords and ran towards Einar since he was using his weapon to deflect Amiya's swords, but... Clash asterisk. How? Out of his book, he took out a sword and blocked Amiya's strike. Without even thinking of a second, Amiya jumped high and materialized a long crimson spear. Gibalv. He called the name of his projected weapon and charged the spear towards Einar. You can even copy that? I will see you copyright OHSHIT. Splash asterisk. Einar was about to be dodged when the spear directly pierced his heart. Thud asterisk. Amiya landed on the ground and looked at Einar, who was clearly stabbed in the heart, and from the looks of his mana, Amiya knew that he landed a clear strike until... Splash asterisk. A hand pierced Amiya's chest. WHKHH. Amiya coughed a mouthful of blood and looked behind just to witness Einar perfectly fine. Did you forget that I was also trained under Magus of Flowers Merlin, who specializes in illusion magic? Einar smirked and then pulled his hand out of Amiya's chest. Amiya didn't even say anything and fell on the dirt like a puppet whose strings have been cut. Reality also began to disappear and replaced with old ones. Che, I have to leave this place. I am having a bad feeling. Einar scorned before leaving the site in search of a place to restore Elaine and find his way out. Merlin's POV. Existed there a slightly inclined plain where flowers of many colors bloomed. The light of the spring and the fragrance of summer filled the afternoon. The autumn breeze and the starry firmament of winter covered the night. On the ground there were flowers and insects. In the woods there was water, green and with animals. Moreover, where the water was reposed, there were beautiful spirits. This island of the frontier, eternally prohibited and never explored by humans. Its name was Avalon. Ah, Einar was right. Never stick your dick in crazy, you will regret it. If you want an example, just ask those crazy bitches' mothers in divorce courts who will try and take everything the man has. Worst, if she is your ex-girlfriend, not only she will steal Blu-ray players as an example, but will take 3 things: your dignity, your money, and probably your house. After escaping from a similar crazy woman, I was talking to myself in a cage in the middle of the garden of flowers. I should have listened to Einar and stopped myself for one-night stands. Just one night with a crazy fae and you will regret if a fairy falls for you. But it is okay. Not a hint of sadness was on my face. After trapping myself in a beautiful cage, I was happy to only watch human growth. Escaping and leaving my beloveds was cowardly of me, but I am okay with this. Not that because Arthurian and Einar will survive, no, first time in my life I was not able to see their future, but because my 2 children were on the right path. Let me tell you what I last talked with the King of Knights. No, Mrs. Serious if I must say. It was ceremonial dawn. The harbor was agitated with the preparations for the great fleet. She and I were far from that commotion in the dock, having their last conversation. And so, finally, the expedition to Rome. Those were my words. Yes, first attack and then negotiate. Unlike all previous battles, I saw a look that was telling the truth of her future. Honestly, as always you hate to lose. We also have many accumulated complaints, so we will attack relentlessly. After we suppress them, we will propose the peace conditions. That is good. However, Britain is a country that is fated to fall sooner or later. Or I rather say that one that is already decaying. What would you do if I started saying that? I'd get more furious at your everyday jokes. That would normally be the case, but I know myself very well where I am heading or where my life is heading. After the night with him, you seemed more confident in your life, actually thinking like a human rather than ideal king. When I mentioned Einar, I saw a blush and a smile rare to anything I have seen. It was a face of a girl who has fallen in love. Spending night with him, I realized that I am way more powerless than anything. Even if you discard emotions to be the ideal king, in the end, you have the same organs and most probably a human heart. I realized that I had become a puppet and I would be alright just like that if not for the emotions that Einar, my beloved husband, has embedded in my heart. She smiled brightly and was the person who was free from all the guilt. I was ashamed of myself even after knowing that I was behind their fights, but happy that they have made their mind. It should not have been this way. What my clairvoyance was showing her character and what nature she was showing, it was like 2 different individuals. A stubborn girl, who was heading for her doom but still denying her fate, was different from a girl selfishly thinking only about her husband and her life. It had been 4 months since Einar went missing from the capital. We searched for him, but all my abilities rendered useless. Blank. There was nothing I could see. But I know one thing. The devil's luck is just like an ant compared to monstrous luck that child possesses, and from his abilities, I knew very well that he could face even end of time. A child not tied with any fate compared to us, I knew his fate is against the fight of our fate. Lancelot, Guinevere, and Tristan, all of them should have met a tragic end but didn't in actuality. All because Einar bent their fates at the last moment, removing them from this act. And the cost is the attention of the will of humanity that wants to make proper human history. It will not let go of the bug that was creating problems. This is the price of kindness in this world. Merlin, don't blame yourself and smile. Einar may have been upset with you for a long time, but he will also forgive you. I know his heart. She smiled brightly, that could heal your soul. I was envious. Einar once asked me to try and fall in love with a girl and make a family. You will feel happiness that would never come with wealth and prestige. Even a normal-looking person will appear beautiful in your eyes. Even though it was impossible for an incubus like me who feeds on human dreams, however, just the thought and colorful images were beautiful. He was correct, Arturia looked beautiful than any person I have ever seen. Her soul was brighter than anything. Hey Merlin, I don't mind talking to you like that, but don't stare at me with those eyes, I am someone else's woman now. I was speechless when Arturia said that to me in a cold tone. PFF, ha ha ha. And I can't help but laugh. She has indeed changed. There was not a single hint of down-to-earth and passiveness personality on her face. She who has disregarded her gender was concerned for her dignity as someone else's woman. Ah sorry, Arturia. Even though you are not the king that I want to make, I am still happy that you are yourself now. I am also happy. Being myself and devote your heart to a person that you love is charming. Sigh asterisk even though I want to spend life with him, but it was a reality that what he was facing was not in our hands to help him in any way. If we stray in the right direction like this expedition of Rome, we will create bigger trouble for him who was fighting for her fate. You know Arturia, I could see what you will be doing, but it will upset him. You are the one who matters most in his life. I know, but it is okay. Even if there are regrets, I want to do anything for him. If a puppet can't fight with the owner, I could at least help him escape. I could see a tear of sadness in her eyes. When she thought about her doom, she didn't have regrets like a king who will sacrifice his life for his people, but now she was sad for moving away from a person she would do anything. What an irony. I smiled and rubbed her hair. Arturia, what if? She has a right to achieve happiness. Einar's POV. It was third day in an unknown place. I have no idea how I get pulled myself. For the information, I always had my defensive buffs active, even can neglect spatial magic. So the magic of any kind doesn't work on me. In short, I am immune to magic. As for the culprit of this event, it was no hidden cause since it was Alea. I was unable to find it even after spending 3 days. Although I didn't face any immediate danger other than the copycat hero, I was still feeling eerie since I came here. Only 3 days here, but I knew that a mess would begin in the outside world. At that time, I discarded any fact like that since Arturia was not like she used to be, plus even if Mordred is mad, she won't take hasty decisions, so I was hoping to avoid a battle of Camlin at all cost. As for this place, it highly resembled the Land of Shadows since fossils of ancient civilization existed here. I also saw a few low-level undead and monsters in this place, so I deducted this place existing in the reverse side of the world. It was a place related to the Scandinavian peninsula of Norse pantheon since I saw some old runes written on walls. Except that it was almost deserted. Almost done. In a cave, a person sitting while was holding a book. His book was surrounded by primordial runes, and he was constantly chanting different runes on the book with complete concentration. Elaine, can you hear me? It was me who asked. For the past 3 days, I was constantly busy fixing the AI of Chastiefol. Elaine's data was completely gone with few fragments of her message. So I had to decode the system, then create whole new intelligence on the basis of previous memory. It is like installing new Windows on a PC without losing all the data. Since I was not able to create any teleportation point to the real world, I put my focus on restoring Elaine and making grand spell. I had to construct divine runes for my grand spell as it was still incomplete. Yes, Einar, I can hear you. Yes. It was a success. Although I modified her personality to a serious one, I was just hoping for her to retain her memories. Elaine, can you tell me what happened to me and what is going on? Without beating around the bushes, I asked. I absolutely didn't want to spend another day in that place. Einar, bad news. It is Alea, the will of humanity. She answered shortly. I know, but tell me what the hell happened? I am pretty sure that whatever method she used, it was not magic or at least a normal one. I was resistant to magic, but there also exist some methods that, although looks like magic, were called phenomenon or mystery. It is correct. When you were sleeping, it used an ancient artifact and tried to pull your soul to oblivion where you won't survive even for a millisecond before shattering into pieces, but Chastiefol's auto-security system reacted on time and pull your whole body here. However, the cost of it was that I sacrificed Avalon and myself to make your body intact and make this place suitable for you to survive. I turned my head down as I was disappointed in myself. What the hell was the use for being a god and having so many cheats when I could easily be toyed by Alea, who didn't do a shit when the whole Fuyuki was burned to ashes in the series. Even my grand spell was incomplete, but considering the amount of mana I had left, it would be hard to complete the spell and fight a powerful enemy that I was fearing would come soon. Einar, please don't look down on yourself. It is will of humanity that is after you, and since it is still the age of mystery, you were able to avoid Alea for so long is still a feat. Elaine tried to encourage. I nodded and decided to cry about my weakness in the future. Now Elaine, tell me more. Yes, you see this place, or this land, is former Asgard of Norse god and was roaming with phantasmal beasts. It was the only place that could favor you, so I also have to clean some phantasmal beasts by transporting them to other reality. I was ready to cry, and for the first time in my life, I was so grateful for her Chastiefol and my luck that I escaped death at such a crucial time. Einar, the real bad news is time dilatation. I don't know exactly, but one day could be a week or even a month outside. I was astonished when she revealed this news. I was absolutely unaware of this kind of spatial principle. I never encountered something like that in both other realities, i.e. Rangominiad and Dunscaith or Land of Shadows. How could something possibly exist? But then again, with what kind of shit I went through my whole life, anything is possible. I have to escape from here. I knew that Alea was forming some kind of plan behind my back. I don't think few weeks could turn the world upside down, but months would. Escape to where, bug? I heard a feminine monotone voice and immediately took my guard. On the entrance of the gate standing was a girl with long hair and glowing rainbow eyes. She was wearing silver Japanese yukata with a long katana in her hand. Who are you? Who am I? I suppose I tell you my name, bug. My name is Einar. I was kinda pissed since she was calling me a bug. Then Mr. Einar, as a human courtesy I will call you Mr. Einar, is that alright? She asked with a monotone. Yes. Now tell me who you are. I didn't know if she was mocking me intentionally since it was hard to read her non-existent expression. Very well. I am what humans called Alea, or Will of Humanity. She introduced herself. I was also interested to ask why the hell Will of Humanity is a Japanese girl, but considering this universe as based on Japanese fiction, I held myself back. And why are you here? I asked with my eyebrows twitching with anger. She just answers what she was asked. To eliminate you. Miss Alea, can you please elaborate your business in one paragraph so that my author and I can avoid useless stuff to fill word count? I am called Alea, a collective force created by Huma Dash. I know. Why the fuck is this happening to me? Because you are a threat to humanity. How the hell I could be a threat when I didn't even do anything? First, Mr. Einar, you are someone from another universe, not parallel reality, but a whole different universe that shouldn't exist, so your existence is itself a threat to humanity according to the law of this world. Secondly, you are a fairy and now a divine being, so your presence in human history is a thorn for the age of men. Third, you have changed end events so it won't end well for the age that is slowly based on the law of physics and science. You bitch. Do you think I care from where I came from? I have the right to live however I want. Second, I know I am a fairy, but how the hell would it affect the age of men? Third, what is wrong with protecting people you love? None. However, their course of action has changed because of your involvement. I get it. You bitch. You just want to make their end tragic so that they could enter Throne of Heroes and become your slaves, is that right? It is correct with your perspective. And I don't see anything wrong with that since they were moving according to the legend that is the basis of Age of Men until you appear and messed everything for humans. Fucking hilarious and disgusting at the same time. Just because I am someone who doesn't originally belong to this universe, doesn't mean that I would just sit and watch people die. She just wanted Arturia to suffer like the original series so that she generates a desire to correct her mistake and enter Throne of Heroes in search of the Holy Grail. If I came here with cheats like Chastiefol, then the fault lies with the root of this universe. Careful Einar, her eyes are perceiving unseen flaws in your physical body. It is possible that she could cut anything as long as her blade touches your body. I know. Even without Elaine, I have already figured her out. It was a little hard to assess her, but I was calculating the flow of magic in her eyes and blade that could cancel even divine magic. It is not much difficult if I keep my distance and fight in the air, but the problem is she was not a human and I have no idea of her abilities. Can we negotiate? Yes, since Throne of Heroes of my dimension will face crisis, so you can enter there and forget about all the people of this world. Go to hell. Very well then. She said and snapped her fingers. My instincts rang crazily when she snapped her fingers. I immediately used Chastiefol Pollen Garden half-spirit form and covered myself with the further defensive barrier. Since you are still a human, I have someone else to deal with you. Just as she spoke those words and whole cave got covered in intense light. Boom asterisk. The whole place was wiped clean where the explosion took place. The impact was so great that even managed to crack the shield of Pollen Garden, which was even further strengthened by my defensive magic. Arg. I didn't know how, but I felt a little pain from the impact of that explosion. The pain was also abnormal as it affected my soul. After the dust was cleared, what emerges within the shadows was the most dangerous existence I had ever seen after Vortigern. It was 9 meters big Siberian wolf-like beast standing on 4 legs. It had silver fur with dark stripes on its body, but the most terrifying object was its face. Just by looking at it, a normal person would run with tails between legs. Even I, who was unfathomable in the face of Vortigern, felt fear in my heart just by looking at the thing. It opened its mouth and made a deep howl that could even kill a normal human. Foo. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Wilnet Duverne, Yami Tancho, Harold's Martinsons. If you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll stay here until next time.